Greetings, friends. I'm back with another Blu-ray horror update. Now, these pickups here I actually bought before my Giant Tiger run, but I wanted to watch the movies first before I did the update. Alright, so I guess we should begin. Alright, set this right. Okay, so as you can see here, the first title is No One Lives. And I really enjoyed this movie. But the thing about this movie is, if you're going to watch this movie, you should watch it cold. So I'm not even going to talk about anything in this movie. But I'll say this, don't watch the trailer for this movie. And when you put the movie in, try to press start right away when it gets to the menu, because there's spoilers there as well. Which is a real shame, because I believe that sometimes movies as a story are meant to be surprises, and unfortunately in this day and age, you can't get that anymore. It's, the trailers give everything away, or people do reviews and they give the plot of the movie away. But this movie will be best enjoyed if you know as little about it as possible. It's a slasher film, that's all I'm going to say about it. And if you happen to have it, try to watch it before watching any reviews or trailers or anything like that, or reading up on it in IMDb or whatever. But I'm happy to have this in my collection. It was a fairly blind buy. Unfortunately, I did see the trailer before checking this one out. This is an Anchor Bay release, so the trailers are I think they're on American Mary and probably a couple of other more recent Anchor Bay releases. Alright, so let's go on to the next pickup. Alright, this is the collection. Now this is the Canadian edition, and this actually just came out on DVD in Canada a couple of weeks ago, which is really frustrating because the US got this movie back in, I think, around March, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't find it anywhere. It wasn't listed. I was looking around, and when I finally did find it, it was over at Cinema One, and they had it on import, and they wanted way too much money for it. Like this was less than half of what they wanted for their import. Like I paid like $16 for it, and they wanted like almost $40 for the import one from Lionsgate. This is a Phase 4 thing, and this movie picks up a little bit after the first movie. Like, I'm a really big fan of the collector. And the collection it's good. It's just not as good as the first movie. But I'm really happy that they brought the star of the movie back. I can't even see his name here. No, I don't even see it. But he was the guy that broke into the house in the first movie. Because I really liked his character. Because usually with these movies, sometimes they make the mistake of going with the villain or the slasher as the main character in these movies. But I'm happy they brought him back. And actually, in the special features for this disc, they have kind of like a mini music video that kind of relates to the end of this movie. So once you finish watching it, you should check it out. And one more thing about this, in Canada, the DVD edition comes in a digipack that has a lenticular cover, which is kind of frustrating. They didn't do, I love my lenticular covers, and they didn't do that with this release for the Blu-ray. So I don't know what's going on with that. It's bad enough that Anchor Bay is putting slip covers in all their DVDs and not their Blu-rays. I like slip covers too. But let's go on to the next pickup. Alright, the Lords of Salem. I just watched this one last night, and I actually really enjoyed it. I had put off buying this movie because I wasn't sure whether I was going to like it or not. I'm kind of on the fence with Rob Zombie movies, although I own all his movies, oddly enough. But my problem with him is his sympathies always lie with the monsters and the slashers in his movies, and not the victim characters. So what ends up happening is you end up not caring about the victim characters either. But this is probably his most mature movie. out of the 5 movies that he's made. And this is a movie about witchcraft. I won't get into the plot because everyone knows about this movie anyway. But it stars Sherry Moon Zombie, who's actually really decent in this one. And Dee Wallace Stone is in this and as well, which is really nice. And actually, I was really surprised to see Maria Conchita Alonso in the movie again. Like she was a Hispanic actress from the 80s. Like she was in Running Man and a bunch of other stuff. And then she was working and working, and just the work just dried up. But it was nice to see her in it. And Bruce Davison, who was the original Willard, he was really good in this movie as well. But yeah, I like this movie. I know this movie kind of like splits people down the middle whether they like it or not, but I'm glad I have it in my collection. Alright, so now we have VHS 2. And with this movie, again, I'm not even going to get into any of the stories because I started watching some reviews for this movie and people started talking about the stories, like in the anthology. And it's like, well, maybe you shouldn't. Like, I will say this, though. This one has less stories than the original movie, which is fine because the first VHS was probably too long. It was almost 2 hours. This movie does have a better setup than the first one. It's not like a bunch of assholes, break into a house looking for a videotape. This is more like a private eye. And of course, because they're private eyes and stuff like that, they have cameras and stuff, keeping up with the found footage aspect of this movie. Um, Another thing I'll say about this movie is, out of the 4 stories, the last story in the movie is the weakest. And what I would have done is I would have led with that instead of putting it um, towards the end of the movie, because the third story is the best story out of all 4 of them. And unfortunately, like, it reaches that crescendo of being really cool, and then they turn around and put like one that's just so. Alright, so VHS 2. Hopefully they'll make some more in this series. I don't mind this series, and this movie is better than the first one. Alright, now we have Feast, unrated. I picked this up at Dr. Discs used, and this was actually going to be an upgrade until I was checking it out on Film Aficionado, and then I saw that it was edited. So what I did was I popped it in, and I went to the most notorious scene in the movie, which if you've seen the movie you'll know what I'm talking about. And sure enough, that scene was trimmed out. So like that's really odd that. And I think this is the only Blu-ray release for this movie on Region 1. And I really like this movie. It's the best in the series. Like with this film, it kind of reminds me a little bit of like The Matrix, where The Matrix was really good and then the sequels weren't that good. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this thing. Hang on, little man. So that's my pickups. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will talk to you all later.